Can men and women really be just friends? I want to have this conversation today, and I hope that you'll weigh into it as well, because I have some thoughts as a relationship coach and as someone who is looking at the dating landscape from a different perspective. And I'd love to hear from you with your experience and what you see needing to happen in order to create more health and harmony in relationships. If you're new to my work, my name's Courtney Shand. I'm a relationship coach, and I really love helping men embody more of their natural confidence and clarity and conviction, especially as they're entering into the dating space. This helps them shift out of that nice guy energy and into more of that empowered, integrated, masculine energy that they're looking for to attract the type of woman that they want to be with. This conversation comes up often with my private clients, and it's one that I want to pose to you as well, because I think as a broader conversation, it's one that we probably need to be having to move forward collectively. Typically, where this conversation's coming from with my clients is that they tend to have more female friends than male friends. And they're usually asking if that's okay and supportive to the type of relationship that they're wanting. And my hope with having this conversation and with sharing my opinion is that it can help you start weighing out some options and also start exploring where the boundaries need to be for you personally to feel safe and in integrity in any type of dynamic that you're in. When clients are coming to me with this kind of question, there are two questions that I like to get clear on with them, and I want to ask you those as well so that you can start weighing in from that perspective. The first one is, are you clear on what you're looking for from that connection? This is a really important one because when we aren't clear on what we're needing from that connection, a lot of times those needs and desires start to come out sideways. And when we can be really clear and upfront with it, it's more likely that any connection, whether it be platonic or romantic, is going to stay in a more empowering and mutually satisfying space. It's easier to navigate when you can see things clearly, and the more work that you can do to clarify for yourself and be really honest with yourself about what you're needing and what you're wanting from that connection, the easier time you're going to have not only receiving that from the connection, but also giving the other person the best possible chance of operating in their own integrity. And it's my personal opinion that when it comes to anything that is emotional in nature or where there's a potential for those lines to get blurry, the more clarity that we can create on purpose, the easier time we're going to have navigating those edges of our boundaries when we're bumping into another person's boundaries. So for example, if you're someone who has mostly female friends, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to cut off all of your friendships, but it might be worth getting clear on what is it that you are receiving from those friendships. Is there a certain type of emotional connection or safety that is available in those type of friendships that you haven't experienced in your friendships with men? Or does it provide a type of validation of your inner experience that feels really familiar to you based on your childhood or previous experiences where it may not have felt safe to share those things with other people? When you have that type of information, you can start taking inventory of what you're looking for in your friendships and be more upfront with what you're looking for. Instead of just creating these friendships that sort of naturally fuse together, you kind of drift in the same direction. You can be really clear and upfront about, hey, I'm actually looking for a friendship that has emotional safety and an ability to really hear what I am expressing and an ability to hear what I'm really saying, kind of able to help me articulate my emotional experience. Is that something that you're available for? This gives the other person the opportunity to opt in or out. It's also going to help you develop the responsibility for getting your own needs met in a clean, healthy, mature way, regardless of if you're investing in masculine or feminine friendships. Where I see this being really difficult for people is when they're getting these deeper emotional needs met in this particular context. It seems to make them aware of the depth and capacity for that need that they have. And when this becomes your only source of getting that need met, it can create that natural feeling of attraction. Attraction naturally happens when we are getting that reflection back and feeling really seen and valued and validated. That's a core human need that everyone is looking to have met. And when you find people who are able to meet those needs in a particular way, it can naturally create the experience of feeling attracted to them. Which leads me to my second point. It might be helpful to have some extra language for attraction. It may feel like magnetic attraction to this person. And sometimes when I'm working with clients, it can be a subtle sign of what's called limerence. It can be this fascination or this fantasy that you have that this person is going to be able to continue to meet more and more of your emotional needs. The reason that it's really important to be really clear and upfront about what you are wanting and expecting from a dynamic is because it can start to stir up sensations and feelings that we often associate within the context of romantic connections. And when that starts happening, it can create a feeling of being out of control of those sensations and having a hard time grounding them in your nervous system. And that's why I'm suggesting that it might be worth having a little bit of exploration around the language that you use for attraction. For example, is it someone that you are drawn to out of respect? Does being around them cause you to respect them more? Or does it cause you to look for ways in your life that you can start emulating that experience in other ways? Sometimes as I'm working with clients, that feeling of attraction can actually be pointing us to a deeper layer of ourself, a part of ourself that is wanting to come online and that is able to come online around this person. I talk about it in my module on limerence in Rooted. If you want some more support on that and some more clarity, go check that resource out. But a lot of times what we find is that when we don't have a lot of language around attraction, we can feel this magnetic attraction to someone. And the reality is that they're meeting a specific need that we didn't realize the depth or breadth that we needed to have that need met. This can be really powerful information once we can start to keep track of it in a concise way. We can bring that to the forefront of our relationships and really have the courage to have those conversations and get those needs met in multiple different relationship dynamics. Once that starts happening, it may be a little bit easier to stay grounded and rooted in your body, with your nervous system feeling a little bit more calm and relaxed around certain people, because it's not the only source of that particular experience. And that's why I work with my clients to create more language around the term attraction, because sometimes what we call attraction is actually more the flavor of respect or admiration or awe at something that they just naturally embody. Maybe it is a sense of being charmed, of being inspired. All these things can give you even more clarity of what it is you're receiving from that connection or wanting from that connection. And when you have that clarity, you can start asking for it with a little bit more direction. But it may be worth doing a little bit of exploration for yourself so that, again, you can find where those boundaries are and need to be. And also so that you can start asking some of your masculine friends for these particular needs too. We just did a podcast episode about the value of healing the sister wound when it comes to your dating life as a woman. And I think the same in my conversations with men, the same is true, that sometimes having all of the opposite gender friends can actually be covering up the deep desire that we have for the experience of safety that was missing or injured at some point in our life. This doesn't mean that you need to cut off all of your female friends if you're someone who has a lot of female friends, but it may be worth also investing in your masculine friends with this level of clarity. These things that you're looking for from your masculine friends, it's not necessarily that they aren't capable of it. Sometimes this can be the type of challenge, the type of conversation that really allows you to feel a new sense of belonging and validation that can really over time build your confidence in your masculine energy when you start experiencing that from the outside. Because what we experience from the outside starts to integrate inward. And when we're experiencing more safety externally, that's what begins to seep into the inside. And we can start to give that and offer that to other people in other contexts in our life. For example, strength, directionality, challenge. There's a specific type of validation of being related to from someone that looks like you that you won't be able to receive from someone that doesn't. And that can be really powerful in your own growth and ownership of your story, and really stepping into owning how your story has been playing out and the story that you want to continue to tell. Overall, I think there can be really healthy things that men and women can contribute to each other, perspectives that we might not have observed. And the way that I teach boundaries in my course is maybe a little bit different to allow for some of that exploration of getting outside perspectives And there is great value in being able to heal the wound that you may have been unconsciously carrying towards the masculine or the feminine that can be an underlying cause for you seeking out only female friends. Overall, I think men and women contribute a lot of knowledge and perspective and contrast that can be done in a non-romantic way as well. And that gift is why I'm wanting to have this conversation. In my experience, the men in my life that have weighed in a non-romantic way have really shifted my perspective on a lot of things. And I know from my masculine clients that having the external perspective from the feminine can be really powerful in shifting how they are seeing not only themselves, but the situation as well. So I'm really curious to hear from you now that you've had a chance to sit with what it is that you're looking for from that connection. And what is it about that connection that is so attractive? What do you think? Can men and women be friends? And if so, what kind of boundaries and conditions would you need in order to show up to that type of relationship in a way that keeps it clean and healthy? Let me know in the comments below. If this is something that's piquing your interest or really resonating with you, I would definitely encourage you to check out Rooted. There are several modules in there that are designed to help you create the clarity that you need to approach any relationship dynamic in a way that's going to keep it in an empowering, mutually beneficial space. And I have space for one-on-one support if you're looking for that. Otherwise, feel free to check out the dating codes. I would love for you to consider joining this channel's membership. I leave homework questions there every week after the video. If you want to take this conversation a layer deeper, go ahead and check that out. Or I'm going to put the episode that I mentioned right here. You can follow up with that one next. I'll see you next week.